Hey guys, how we doing? Another beautiful, fantastic morning. I wonder, want to buy something, don't quite have the money, um, don't have the free cash at the moment, but really want something. It's not a problem, right? You can buy it now and pay for it later. The buy now, pay later trend is really boosting at the moment. I think it's been driven predominantly by the pandemic, but it's not completely a new one. If we look at Klarna, which is the poster child, I would say, of the buy now, pay later trend, they were actually incorporated in Sweden back in 2005, 2006, and have been on a fairly rapid growth trend since then, which really accelerated at the beginning of the pandemic when people started shying away from using cash and moving towards online purchasing. And particularly as a lot of people were facing cash flow problems due to being on furlough or being laid off, etc. But I mean, we've always had, for a longer period of time, the ability to get credit on purchases. I can remember living back in the UK having this notion of paying on the never never. But those were quite rigid credit agreements that you would sign up for as part of a purchase, be that a car or something else, and you would pay interest on that over a period of time. So it was more of a credit-based loan. Whereas a buy now, pay later is slightly different. You don't pay any interest and you don't pay any fees as long as you pay on time. The minute you default on a payment or pay late, you pay very hefty fees. And that's one of the things that the buy now, pay later vendors are relying on. That's one of the ways they make their money. The other way they make their money is they will charge the merchant a percentage of the price as a fee to taking on your debt on the behalf of the merchant. The other thing that's interesting is that the buy now, pay later schemes or trends is currently an unregulated sector, which means that the regulations that are in place to protect the consumers and also to ensure that the organizations or the vendors are behaving in a regulated, controlled manner is not there yet. But that's going to change very, very soon. We've seen a growth of issues around people getting out of control with their spending habits using the buy now, pay later schemes. And therefore the regulators are starting to step up and say, we need to start regulating this space. But currently, it is, like I said, unregulated. It is also a lot faster to get approval or to get the ability to buy now, pay later. The reason being is because there's more of a soft credit check done than if you do the normal credit approval process, right? You don't get into discussions around your credit history, your income assessment, etc. You find very often that there's limited amount of background check done, and in actual fact, currently, if you do a full hard credit check, then your credit history will be assessed across all of your credit providers. Whereas with a buy now, pay later, they don't know how much you have bought with other providers of a buy now, pay later scheme. I think for the banks and for the credit providers, this is a fantastic new opportunity, and I think we're going to see a lot of growth in this space. I think for consumers, this is still an area of high risk, particularly when we get to consumers that maybe aren't financially literate and very bad at money management, because they can very easily get into debt, particularly as the credit checking, etc., is a lot freer and doesn't go into so much detail. We're also seeing a lot of banks and credit merchants starting to blur the boundaries a little bit of what they mean or what we mean by buy now, pay later. We've seen this in the past with other growing trends like open banking and banking as a service, etc., where the term or the meaning gets blurred and expanded to include other things. So whilst traditionally at the beginning the buy now, pay later scheme was specifically aimed at supporting a purchase with a predefined number of repayments over a period of time that the buy now pay later vendor would specify, we're now seeing buy now pay later vendors offering the ability for you to get a card with a predefined amount of credit on it. So we're seeing that blurring between credit cards, credit providers, and buy now pay later providers as they're trying to find new ways to drive that purchasing feeling for their consumers. I think it's currently an area that's quite risky for the consumers, but I think that things are going to improve as the regulators start to control the area. I myself have not really used a buy now pay later scheme because I very much believe in the notion of if you can't afford it, you shouldn't be buying it. But what about you? Any of you been using the buy now pay later services available from Klarna or the new one now from PayPal? Let me know. Tell me what you think. Be interested to have a discussion around it. Talk to you again later and have a fantastic Wednesday.